Welcome to Card Central 365, powered by Gray Bar. This is STL Sports Central. All content provided by DraftKings. The crown is yours. And if there was any concern on the popularity of Mr. Mike Claiborne, well, we could put those rumors to rest because he has his own sponsor. Mike Claiborne is presented by the Painting and Decorating Foundation of St. Louis. And I bet they could help out with those white walls in the Los Angeles hotel room that you're currently occupying. But what a great night last night for St. Louis. Maybe their best win post All-Star break.
Yeah, I think it was. I think you throw that win up, and just trying to think of Sonny Gray was before the All-Star break. Yeah, I agree. I thought it was good from the moment it started. I mean, the atmosphere was electric. Dodgers had just come off a long road trip, and I kind of thought they might be a little flat, and they were. But the Cardinals took advantage of it, and they hit a pretty good pitcher last night in Glasnow. Just couldn't put enough hits together to score more runs. Defense was very good, and obviously the pitching was solid once again.
And that's exactly the type of win that you would expect this version of the Cardinals team to win. A close battle with Sonny Gray on the mound. You're not expecting this to be an offense that's going to generate 7-8 runs a game. When they can win the tight ones and have those late inning comebacks like they did yesterday at Dodger Stadium, how encouraged are you by seeing this group being able to do that against a team like LA?
Well, I am encouraged for sure. I think it's just part of the whole evaluation process of seeing how guys act under fire. I mean, as I mentioned, it was hostile. It was really loud. And for them to respond in the manner that they did just says, okay, now we know we can do this. Now, how do we duplicate it is, I think, the next question. Because that thing had the earmarks of blowing up right in your face. I mean, Dodgers are banging at the door, and the Cardinals are able to hold them off. But, I think it was a good test for them, a good result. Now, I think the bigger question is, how do you respond tonight? How do you build on this? And we've seen this before, where they'll come out and play a good game. Hey, we'll high five everybody, and then go out and lay an egg the next night. We're facing a guy we haven't seen before tonight, so that's going to make it always interesting. And then Ohtani pitches tomorrow. So you have a chance to really do some business here, and we'll see how things unfold.
And the Cardinals can win the season series against the Dodgers. Of course, they took 2 out of 3 from LA early on in the season. Sorry, my lighting was falling down. Just didn't want to make sure I was in the dark. But this is a really important, I think, morale type of win for the Cardinals, a team that I think has spiraled a bit even before the trade deadline, which set them up to be sellers. You could go on a little bit of a run here. If you can take one against the Dodgers and then face the Cubs, who knows what position you're sitting at.
Yeah, there's a lot of baseball still to be played. You're going to get back to playing teams in your division. So anytime you can gain some momentum outside the division and then come back and do the same thing, it's going to help for sure. But I don't want to be a team that looks too far down the road. I think the Cardinals have to be focused on who they play right now. When you look too far down the schedule, you forget about the team you're playing. Oh, by the way, they're the world champions, and they're starting to get some people back. So it's important for them to just keep their focus directly in front of them and not down the road.
And the contributions made from the Cardinals were from the future pieces of the Cardinals, as you would maybe expect, because the team isn't made up of as many veterans as it was at the beginning of the year. Mason Wynn, a home run in the second inning. Ivan Herrera with a home run late in the game. And then, of course, Joel Pozo, who's now hitting 500 or above in 12 at-bats as a pinch hitter. I mean, that's a crazy, crazy number to think about.
Yeah, it's, 7 or 8 for 12, as a pinch hitter. And, last night in talking to him, he mentioned the fact that he was surprised he threw him 3 fastballs in a row. And he didn't overswing. He just took it the other way. And that's who he is. I mean, he's just been a really effective guy when called upon. And, I asked him, what does it feel like to have somebody have that sort of trust in you and Ollie? And he just said it's been a blessing, because I think in the past, probably people have given up on him or didn't think he was that guy, because when you look at him, people would say, well, you know what, he's a little chubby. I don't know, but he moves around behind the plate reasonably well. But, man, the guy can flat out hit, man. The only time he's had a problem when they started throwing him pitches away and he was trying to pull them or he didn't recognize them. And but other than that, man, you make a mistake around him, especially first pitch. He and Herrera are killing it on first pitch swing. So Happy for him. We'll see what that lineup looks like tonight.
No Jordan Walker yesterday for the second time in the last 3 games, but Lars Nootbaar made one of the biggest plays of the game in the 9th inning with Mookie Betts up. Mookie Betts just can't buy a break at the plate right now, but
No.
that's a play that I don't think we've seen Nootbaar make, just showing his defensive versatility because we've seen him mostly in left field.
Yeah, he seems to be a better right fielder, to be honest with you. I don't know whether the fact that the ball gets on him quicker in left field, but it's certainly a difference. And trying to juggle a lineup the way the Cardinals have been able to, trying to find playing time for everybody and not sacrifice too much. That was a huge play. And I'll be honest with you, I think at this stage of his career, Jordan Walker would have been able to make a play similar to that. Now, this time last year, they might have just picked the ball up because it would have rolled around for a bit. But to watch his improvement, watch Burleson's improvement, Nootbaar, I think, is, as I said earlier, better in right field. It's not a bad combination.
It's a great combination. And as Ollie Marmol said in the press, they are rotating these outfielders, but the one that has earned everyday playing time is Alec Burleson. I think that's a very fair and good call by the manager.
Yeah. And you know what the thing is? He has been so dedicated on being a better outfielder because, initially he didn't have a position when he first got here. He was just going to be a hitter. But now he's worked on it. He had an assist on Sunday, or was it Saturday? He threw out a runner. And I think he takes pride in it now. And, I'm not afraid to throw him out there.
I wouldn't be either. And the bat has so much value. And to your point about Nootbaar, there were a lot of questions on his defensive ability. His struggles at the plate are completely separate. But Jordan Walker has taken such huge strides. I think that's why it was so good to see Nootbaar come up with that play, because then there's no rhetoric. There's no conversation of, well, if Walker was in the game, he probably makes that catch.
Yeah, it was he got a good jump on it, first of all. And, I thought that ball was going to continue to curve toward foul, but it kind of stayed up just long enough in fair territory for him to snag it because I thought it was going to drift. And it drifted a little bit more. It would have been a no play because it would have been a foul ball. But, man, it was critical. And I thought the irony was they almost backpicked Ohtani. Burleson kind of slipped up behind him, and they almost backpicked him, but Ohtani got back just in time to not be double off.
This is a huge play in the grand scheme of the game. Quick pause here as we talk to you a little bit about Graybar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. They're a great sponsor of this show and of STL Sports Central. Claibs, presented by Painting and Decorating Foundation of St. Louis. A little bit about the pitching. Sonny Gray had not been as sharp as he was last night. Prior to last night, gives you a strong outing. Then you see O'Brien and you see Jojo Romero. I mean, they bent a little bit, but they didn't break, and they held firm against a really, really talented Dodger team.
Yeah, they did a good job. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And I think the term you use, bending, is something we're going to see a little bit more of because these guys are trying to find their lane, find their role as far as what they're going to be doing with this ball club. And, Ollie's going to have probably two different sets of relievers. I would expect JoJo not to be available tonight. Maybe not O'Brien. So maybe you come back with Kyle Leahy and Granillo as a guy who's looked well. The problem is you're short on left-handed pitching. You only have one. And the unfortunate thing is they don't have anybody in the organization that's left-handed that can contribute right now. So if something were to happen to JoJo, and God forbid, you'd see a team with nobody who can throw from the left side that's on a 40-man roster, let alone be in the minor leagues.
That certainly seems like a big reason why Anthony Veneziano was picked up off of waivers yesterday from the Marlins organization. So he's a AAA arm that I'm sure they might be considering. But with Luke and Baker going out the door to Los Angeles, there is a 40-man roster spot that is open that I think needs to be addressed. And who knows who they're saving it for?
Stefan, I think they have like 4 or 5 openings on that 40-man roster.
It makes you wonder why not use them and see how it all plays out. Prieto is a guy that I think looks like maybe someone that could contribute, but again, another left-handed infielder. Katie Wu was quoted to saying J.J. Weatherholt's best position on the Major League roster is being on the Major League roster. I think right now, with how he's hitting, that's a very good way of putting it.
Yeah.
But we can't necessarily live in a world where JJ Weatherholt can just come up and play every single day with all of the, I guess, logjam that exists for the MLB club.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part about this. You have such a logjam at second base and at third base. Um, I don't. I think you have to make a decision on somebody, and whether you just decide we've seen enough of them, we're not going to play them anymore. We're going to take a look at somebody else, or does this come down to a situation where the Cardinals don't want to start Weatherholt's clock? Now, last year they did it with Mason Wynn, where they brought him up a year before last, and he came up the last 6 weeks of the season, and I thought it was a real plus for him to be able to walk into spring training knowing how this works. There seems to be a different opinion internally on Weatherholt, and I think there's two things: the clock and making sure he gets playing time. It's one thing to be here; it's another thing to play. So, whose playing time is he going to take away? And I think that's been the big head scratcher right now.
And I think that the trade deadline kind of pointed to some things, as they're not willing to part with anyone at this point in the season, because regardless of what you do, there's a butterfly effect on the major league club. If you say, Brendan Donovan, we're going to move you off second base and play you in left field, well, then that crowds out another outfielder. And then you've already got logjam in the outfield. What do you do from that point? JJ, it seems like it's too good to be true for him to be on the major league team at this point in the season.
Yeah, something catastrophic would have to happen. And by the way, it wasn't like they didn't want to move anyone. They just didn't get probably the offer that they were expecting for some people. And I think when we get to winter meetings this year, that'll all change. I'm of the feeling that we talked about this yesterday. There are going to be some tough decisions made about some people that we were comfortable with. But at this point, there just isn't enough playing time, and you think you may have better options. So I'm thinking winter meetings or general manager meetings will probably percolate things. And then maybe by winter meetings, you'll see some moves made.
I think that's a very fair way of looking at it, Claibs, especially as the Cardinals are sitting at 500 in what was considered to be not a rebuild, but a refresh year for their club. They've had some really high moments, and it feels like they need a couple of the right type of player to get them over the top and to really be competitive within their division, because the Cubs aren't going anywhere. And from what it looks like, the Brewers aren't going anywhere. And from what it looks like, the Reds aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, you're right.
The Pirates. So you've got to do something aggressive, or else it won't be 2026 that this Cardinals team is competitive. It'll be 28. And I don't think that the fans quite want to see that. I don't think anybody in the organization is used to that period of not being as involved in the postseason as they have been. So we'll see how that all plays out. But a win like last night against a team like the Dodgers gives you some hope that the core of what they're building can get the job done against some good teams.
And the core was what helped you last night. You mentioned Wynn and Herrera with their home runs. Pozo's a guy that, I don't know if he has a spot on this team next year, but he came out with a big hit. Wilson was able to get on base. So there were a lot of little things you were able to do last night from guys that you're looking to build with. I don't necessarily say build around, but build with.
They're pieces of a very important and perplexing puzzle as it sits in the year 2025. Claibs, tonight, it's Emmett Sheehan on the mound against Miles Michael, as Sheehan, coming off of injury, he hasn't pitched a ton of innings, 26 strikeouts. So we'll see how long they keep him in the game. We know the Dodgers are awfully conservative with their starting pitchers anyway, regardless of injury or not. They may try to protect the arm, and if you're a Cardinals team, you're going to try and get after that bullpen like you did last night.
Yeah, good point. Very good point. And, maybe we see Sheehan go through the order once, and maybe they make this a bullpen game, although you have Ohtani pitching tomorrow, so you have to have some backup for him. So this is going to be a very tricky situation for Dave Roberts and the Dodgers on how they utilize their pitching. By the way, they have 14 guys on the injured list.
It seems like a problem every single year. And when I was in the minor leagues, the Dodgers would pull their starting pitchers very, very early into the game. I believe it was somewhere in the 65 to 75 pitch range. And there was some leeway depending on who the guy was. But you would see 4 or 5 pitchers a night on a good night for the Dodgers affiliates. And it makes you wonder if it's a organizational thing that these guys just don't know how to go deep into games. If you look at the guys,
I think you're onto something there. I agree with you. And I'm not sure if that's a baseball decision. I think that's someone who, the Dodgers have one of the biggest or the biggest operations side staff in baseball. And when you get all those people in the room and half of them don't know how to put a glove on, they just keep crunching numbers. And I think between the algorithms that they have and all the other things that give them the indication that this is the right way to go, I'm of the belief, man, you still have to watch the game. You still have to have guys push and push hard and not turn around and look at the scoreboard and say, oh, fifth inning, I'm done working. No, there's going to be nights where you're going to be needed. And, you have to have that mindset. Now, last night, Glasnow went over 100 plus pitches in a game recently. So, he's kind of stretched out a little bit more. But at this point, and maybe they're a little gun shy when you think about Buehler was hurt and May was hurt, and they've had some other guys pitching wise that, they tried to baby and it still ended up costing them. Maybe they're just really gun shy right now about trying to expand their roles as far as starters are concerned.
I think that's a really, really good point, Claibs, and we'll stick with that point in just a moment. But a quick reminder that all content on STL Sports Central is provided by DraftKings, and nothing beats relaxing on a hot summer day and watching baseball. It's the simplest way to get in on the action, and it's to download the DraftKings Pick 6 app. It's crazy simple. Just pick more or less on the stats for two or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. Pick 6 is available right now here in Missouri. Don't miss out on the fun. Don't settle for a smaller payout. Switch to Pick 6. And right now, new customers can get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code STL Sports. That's code STL Sports for new customers to get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Better payouts, bigger wins. Only with Pick 6 from DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Claib's talking more about Emmett Sheehan and the Dodgers' pitching philosophy. Sheehan has pitched in 8 games. He started for them, 25 total innings. So he's averaging just about 3 innings per outing, assuming they have had him start in every outing. That's a good thing for the Cardinals, especially coming off of a win.
Yeah, it is. And as I mentioned, if you see him go through the order once, they'll probably flip the script as far as the bullpen is concerned. But, man, if you can hang a couple of runs on him early and then take a crack at the bullpen, it could be another good night for the Cardinals.
It could be a great night for the Cardinals. And the Dodgers feeling a little bit of pressure here. The Padres 3 games back of first place. The Dodgers are no longer the best team in baseball in terms of record. The Brewers, the Cubs, they're right at the top of the league. This could be a stretch where if the Dodgers don't figure it out, not only offensively, but with their pitching and staying healthy, you could see the Padres, a team that really was aggressive at the trade deadline, overtaking what has been a foregone conclusion that would be the Dodgers' number 1 first place spot in the West.
No, I agree. I just think the Dodgers are trying to hold on until they get a little bit more pitching back, because they're going out there with smoke and mirrors now in some situations. And until they get that straightened out, like granted, they have a good lineup, okay? You have the league's leading hitter. You have Freddie Freeman. I knew Frankie Freeman. Freddie Freeman. At some point, Mookie's going to hit a little bit better than what he is. And then at the top, you have Ohtani. So now that Gavin Lux is back, Pages has done a nice job. He's been better at the plate than he has been in the field. But point being, they have some other parts that are getting closer to being able to contribute. And once they get going, man, they can run off a 2-week stretch, man, where they can probably go 12-2.
They certainly can. And it's not necessarily about getting hot. It's about when you get hot. The goal for the Dodgers isn't winning the West. They've done that already. It's winning the World Series. They play for the World Series every year. That's the type of team that they are. But it seems like other teams have gotten hip to the Dodgers' philosophy and are playing much better baseball in the regular season. Yeah. Brewers and the Cubs look like forces to be reckoned with. They play good defense. They hit well. They pitch well. All things that we've credited the Dodgers with in past seasons. Now, Miles Michaelis on the mound for the Cardinals had a really good outing his last time out, looking to replicate that again against the Dodgers, who he has struggled a bit against in his career.
Yeah, Miles has been moving in a more positive direction here recently. There were a couple of outings where you were saying, man, this has got to be it for him. And then all of a sudden he comes back and gives you 6 innings here, maybe 7, but he gives you a chance. He keeps the runs low. He's been much better. But as you mentioned, the Dodgers have kind of had his number, so I'm anxious to see what kind of adjustments he's going to make, especially after seeing how they handled Sonny Gray last night.
The Dodgers don't want to be out of gas, but the Cardinals seem to have them figured out. This is the type of team that you go in against and you try and be aggressive. Who are you looking for in this lineup for the Cardinals? We don't know who's starting, obviously, to have a big night against Emmett Sheehan.
Well, a good question. The obvious ones are Herrera. I mean, he's having a good night just by everybody. I think Brendan Donovan's pretty close to getting on a hot streak. I would like to see Victor Scott a little bit more aggressive. So those would be the 3 people I'm looking at right now that I'm feeling that will get off to a good start against a guy they haven't faced before.
If you get the bottom of the order going, that might even shorten the outing for Sheehan, which is expected to not be very long. Herrera is a really interesting point because he came into this series kind of struggling. He came into San Diego struggling, and he's totally.
But he left San Diego hot, though.
Yeah,
I mean, he had some big hits in the latter part of that series. But you're right, he was cold when he got there. So he picked it up last night with the home run. He had another hit. So it'll be fun to watch him and to see how they pitch him, especially with Donovan hitting behind him. I'm sorry, Burleson hitting behind him. That's going to be interesting to see if they think they can take a crack at Burleson compared to pitching around Herrera.
It's a much better option for the Cardinals, considering you have 2 of the best hitters on the team and 2 of the best hitters in the National League as it currently sits.
Yeah.
Being back-to-back. Lineup protection is a very real thing. Well, Claibs, I know you've got a busy morning. I guess it's still morning time in L.A. Any final thoughts before heading into Game 2?
I'm looking forward to this one. The Cardinals have had their highs and lows with pitchers they haven't seen before. As you touched on it earlier, if they can get in that bullpen early and really make them squirm a bit, this could be a very good night. On the other side of the coin, if Miles Michaelis can keep them close, a bullpen is reasonably fresh. Who knows? This could be another remake of what we saw last night, maybe a few more runs scored, but it's certainly a winnable game.
It'll be a whole lot of fun, and the action will begin for St. Louis at 9:10 Central Time. So be sure to tune in everywhere where you get your baseball and hear the great voices of the Cardinals. And then the guys that are on TV are okay too, I guess. But Claibs, thanks so much for joining us. He is presented by Painting and Decorating Foundation of St. Louis. This show powered by Gray Bar on STL Sports Central for everyone involved. Thank you so much for joining us.